Sometimes you want to add some basic code into your HTML that does provide some visual emphasis on different words or phrases. When this happens, you can add the tags for bold and italics or strong and emphasis. Now, where people get confused with these different tags is bold is the same thing as strong, meaning that it looks exactly the same in the browser, and italics is the same visually as emphasis. So let's first take a look at bold and italic. When you want to make something look bold, then you just need to add the B tag. So for instance, in this particular line, it says, "Thank you to everyone who volunteered." So let's pretend we want to make that particular part bold. This is what we call a nested tag, meaning it's going to be inside of another tag. When there are nested tags, it's a good bet that that tag is considered an inline tag, meaning it's meant to be inside of other tags. So bold, italic, strong, and emphasis are all inline tags. When we use inline tags or nested tags, we need to make sure to use the opening tag after the opening paragraph tag or the opening heading tag, whatever it may be, and then we need to close it before we close that surrounding P tag, heading tag, whatever it is. So in here, I'm going to put the opening B tag, and then I'm going to put the closing B tag after the text that I want to be bold. So after volunteered, I'll put the closing B tag. When I come back to design view, now you can see that those particular words are in bold. Then let's say I wanted to make the email italics just so it stands out a little bit from the rest of the information. So for italics, I start at the beginning of the email and type I, and then add the closing italics tag. Again, if I click in design view, now I can see that that particular email is italicized. Now the strong and emphasis tags will make things look exactly the same. But we want to make sure that our markup is semantic, meaning we want to make sure it adds meaning to our information when it needs to. This text would be just fine if it wasn't in bold. This text would be just fine, the meaning wouldn't change, it wouldn't seem more important, but it wouldn't seem less important, etc. if it didn't have the italics tag. Now we want to use strong when we're trying to provide strength with our statement, and we want to use emphasis when we're trying to emphasize something. And the reason why we do this is because things like screen readers for people with disabilities will read the information that's in a strong tag and in an emphasis tag differently than stuff that's been in a bold or italics tag. It'll let a person know that this is supposed to be strong. This is a strong statement. This is something you should pay attention to. Same thing with emphasis. So for instance, with this, team coaches, please don't forget to pay your dues. This is something that we need to make sure is strong. We want people to pay their dues. So in here, we're going to put the strong tag. So we'll open it up and type the word strong, and then close that strong tag. Again, it's nested. So notice I closed the strong tag before I closed the containing paragraph tag. So if I come over again to design view, it looks exactly the same, but it's more meaningful now, and it is semantic. It is correct. So in here, this top one, we will reschedule for Saturday, June 16th. That's important. We want to emphasize that. We want people to know that this event has been canceled, but we have a plan. So this is where we're going to put the EM tag. And again, close it before we close that containing paragraph tag. Oops, and it did it for me. So now again, this looks exactly the same as italics, but whereas these two wouldn't be read as special, these two would be read as special because they have the strong and emphasis. If you're just doing something for appearances, you can use the bold and italics, but make sure it's not because you're really trying to make something strong or you're really trying to emphasize something. If it is, then you need to use strong and emphasis. Most of the time, though, if you want to create some visual difference, leave that for CSS. That's what CSS is for. HTML should only be added to add meaning.